Shalom, everyone. It's Friday again, and this time it's Parashat Tazria-Metzora. Before we start, I just want to share a piece of good news. Who might be sharing with us? Baruch Hashem, a few days ago, we had another baby girl, Baruch Hashem. Very cute, very sweet. She doesn't have a name just yet, but she will get there soon, Bezrat Hashem. And she might be squeaking away in the background as we continue. Our Parashat Tazria-Metzora is actually a perfect parasha to have a new baby. As my wonderful Auntie Naomi pointed out, the parasha starts, Isha ki tazria ve'yalda zachar ve'im nekeva teled. It starts off with the halachot of the purification process for a woman after she gives birth. And throughout our Parashat Tazria and Metzora, it's a double parasha, we have a lot of detailed ceremonies, procedures in order to help people get out of the status of tum'ah, of uncleanliness, spiritual uncleanliness, and become tehorim, whether it's because of tzarat, some type of spiritual leprosy, whether it's all sorts of different venereal diseases, which we find at the end, zava, and so on and so forth, and childbirth also, nida, all of these different elements that are secretions that make the body tameh, that make the body impure, or actual impurities on the skin, and so on and so forth. All of these need to be fixed in a way, and when one is fixing them, there is a process that goes through spiritually as well, which helps one cleanse not just the body, but also the soul. And throughout our parasha, there is a certain key phrase that appears, a certain key ingredient in this whole process that appears in multiple different places across the line, regarding the different types of korbanot, the different types of sacrifices that are brought when purifying oneself. And that is shnei torim or shnei bnei yonah, 2 doves or 2 pigeons, echad le'olah ve'echad lechatat. One as an olah, a sacrifice that is brought completely on the mizbeach, burnt completely, the whole sacrifice, and one as a chatat, which is a sacrifice which is divided up. Part of it is eaten by the korban, by the kohen, part of it is burnt, and it represents more of a sacrifice for cleansing, for purification, for, in many ways, often chatat is brought to atone for a sin. And this is something that we have to look closely at. What is this duality? These 2 birds, constantly 2 birds. By the way, also in the Metzora, we often also find the element of 2 birds coming forth multiple different places throughout the story. So if we take a closer look at these korbanot, I feel like each one of them has a much deeper meaning that we can really connect to. Let's start with the chatat. A chatat is there, literally chatat in the Tanakh. Lechateh, even in modern Hebrew, means to clean, to cleanse, to wipe clean, to sanitize. A phrase very often used, we were just in the hospital, lechateh et hayadayim, to sanitize your hands, to wash your hands when it comes in contact with anything that might contaminate you. So there's a decontamination element here. A chatat is there to cleanse you from your sin, to try and clean up the past. When it comes to the olah, not in Spanish, not hola, but rather olah from the word la'alot, to go up, right? Because this is brought up. It is sacrificed up. The whole thing is burnt up. And actually, in English, the term for an olah, a sacrifice that is completely burnt up, is actually Holocaust. I know we just had Holocaust Memorial Day in Israel, but Holocaust is the Greek word for all burnt. Holus, where we get the word holistic, all, and kost, okay, or kostus, which is burnt up, where we get the word caustic, for example, for something that is chemically burning. So Holocaust, right, Holocaustus is all burnt up. Now there's a whole question, Is that the right way to view what happened in the Shoah? Is the Shoah a burnt offering? The Kodashim, the Kedoshei HaShoah, the idea of the people who were sacrificed, who were burnt, who were brought on the altar of Masirat Nefesh, of sanctifying God's name. That's a much deeper philosophical conversation. But nonetheless, the word Holocaust, you might come across it in old translations of the Chumash, where before it got, so full of meaning in the modern world, Holocaust is the phrase for an olah, something that is burnt up. And I think that too has a deeper meaning when it comes to our relationship with Hashem. When we bring a korban, that korban is something that is supposed to raise us up. I'm reminded of my 2-year-old, right? Baruch Hashem, now she's already grown up a lot more, but when she was 1.5, when she wanted to be lifted up, she would put her hands in the air and say, up, right? This whole idea of, please raise me up, lift me up. And that is very much a korban olah. Even today, when people come up to the land of Israel, they make aliyah, right? They go up. So too, this korban is there. And in many ways, this is a korban, this is a sacrifice for the sake of the future, trying to raise us into a new mode, a new relationship with God. To summarize, chatat, in many ways, is more like closure, trying to take control of the past, to work on it, to sanitize it, to clean it, to kind of reach a certain sense of closure with whatever we did, whether it was a sin, whether it was impurity. And then an olah is there to help us move on, to help us move up into the next stage of life. And we need both. We need closure with the past in order to dream for the future. And I think actually this week beautifully is the week of Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, where we go from one, right? We go from in many ways, focusing on the past, on those who we lost along the way. 1 second. Okay. Those who we lost along the way, and who sacrificed so much to be with us, for us to be here. 1 second. Shh. One second. So, where were we? The idea of Yom HaZikaron being very much working on the past, internalizing the past, recognizing and appreciating the sacrifice of the past, and moving into Yom HaAtzmaut, the Olah, the relationship with Hashem, the dream for the future. Yes, we recognize that sacrifice, unfortunately, that was given by all of those amazing men and women who gave their lives for our future, is in order to get us to that future, in order to move us towards the Olah, the uplifting, the Aliyah, the rising sunrise of the future, of trying to move into the sunset on the horizon. We need both. We need Yom HaZikaron and we need Yom HaAtzmaut. We need the Chatat and we need the Olah. The question now is, okay, fine, I get the importance of maybe someone who said Lashon Hara, as Chazal say, who needed to get purified spiritually as well. They got Sarat, they need to come out of it. A Zav, Zava, all sorts of different elements, maybe where there's an element of responsibility that needs to be taken, needs to be moving on. But Yoledet, what's wrong with a woman who gave birth? What does she do wrong? Why does she need to bring a Chatat? The Gemara asks this question, and the Gemara has a very beautiful cryptic answer. The Gemara says, why does she need to atone? She needs to atone because when she was giving birth, she cried out in pain and she took an oath that she's never going to have babies ever again. And now she needs to atone for that because she needs to basically kind of fix that, and because maybe she will want to have babies one day and she took an oath that she wouldn't, so she needs to fix that. That is a beautiful Gemara. I don't know how many women actually scream that. I don't know how many women actually promise themselves that this is it, I'm never doing this again. And I myself, I've never given birth, probably never will, honestly, although modern medicine is pretty impressive. What is going on here at its depth? What is this Midrash saying? I think the Midrash is saying that every time a woman gives birth, she also, in addition to bringing life into this world, there's an element of losing life. There's an element of something dying, something that needs to be cleansed, that needs to be processed, that one needs to move on from. Baruch Hashem, we are on our third child. Moving from 0 children to 1, you lose your independence. You used to be a young couple, be able to go all over the world, everywhere, do whatever you like. Now you've got a child. Now you've got to figure out what to do with it. Moving on to second child, oh my goodness, now you've got a child at home and then a baby, right? You've got a toddler and and you need to give attention to one child and to another child. How do you balance the two? Now we've entered into the realm of 3. There's all sorts of different complications that come up. What? I remember speaking to a friend of mine. He said, moving into child number 4, now they've got to buy a new car, right? They don't all fit into the same old car anymore. Every birth is the death of life before that birth, of the stage of life, of the experience of life. When the Gemara says a woman screams, I'm never having another baby, she is mourning. In addition to the childbirth itself, the pain, she is mourning the death, the loss of whatever her life was before, whatever her body was before, whatever her mental health was before, everything. There's a need to cleanse, to chatat, to mourn the past, Yom Zikaron, in order to move forward into the celebration of birth, Yom HaAtzmaut, the rebirth of the nation, the rebirth of new life. And I think this is true in many different experiences in life. We constantly need to recognize when we're moving from one stage of life to another, even from a stage of being single to being married, a stage of your kids being at home to your kids moving out of the home, a stage of not having a job to having a job, or a stage of having a job to then retiring or losing your job. Every stage, we need to constantly recognize one door closes and another door opens. We need a chatat and we need an olam. 2 birds, they're identical. Shnei b'nei yonah, shnei torim. One needs to close one door and one needs to open the other door. And I think if we can take that message, Be'ezrat Hashem, for us, I have to give it tefillah, that Be'ezrat Hashem, may Hashem help us in our new stage of life, with our new baby, Baruch Hashem, and may we, Be'ezrat Hashem, grow from this, recognize that life that existed until now is now in the past. We need to leave it in the past, move forward into the future. With that, I wish you all a Yom HaZikaron Mashmauti, a meaningful Yom HaZikaron, and a Yom HaAtzmaut Sameach, and a rejoiceful and celebratory Yom HaAtzmaut Be'ezrat Hashem. May it be a chatat and an olah all at the same time. Shabbat Shalom.